Hi, I'm here with Karen from Cloud Real Estate, and we're just going to talk a little bit about her Cloud Real Estate journey in our 10 questions. So, starting out, tell me a little bit about how you got into real estate and how did you get to Cloud Real Estate?
Okay, so I was in the process of raising my four children, and I was always interested in real estate. Just kind of the basics, going to open houses and just magazines and all that kind of stuff. So I was really interested in that kind of thing. But, my kids were my top priority. So I always had it in the back of my head that, that might be a good avenue for me is real estate. And I had talked to a couple of agents that I knew and asked questions, and they were great. They were opening and honest and told me everything, but I just didn't feel like it was something I could do with my kids still at home because I wanted them to come first. So I had a very good friend that is a broker, and she reached out to me just kind of out of the blue and said, I was talking to my daughter the other day, and she happened to mention that you would be really good as a realtor. And I said, that's so funny because that's something that's been in the back of my mind. So we sat and had a chat, and I took my classes, and it just so happened that friend is the broker of Cloud Real Estate. And she just happened to be Deborah Bean. And so we got to talking, and I aired my concerns about the fact like I had a child that was a senior, a child that was coming up. Those were my last two. I'm like, I really got to be at all the stuff, all the things. And she said, hey, we're family oriented. Family comes first. And it just was a really, really good fit. And so that's how I ended up at Cloud.
That's so amazing. Oh, gosh. And family always comes first.
Absolutely.
Yes. So then, what do you love most about working in real estate?
So, as I said, I have four children. And so, one of my favorite things that I found while working in real estate is helping first time home buyers and like kind of the younger crowd because I feel like I kind of slide into that mother role. And I feel protective over my clients that are, of that, I don't want to say age bracket, but because sometimes they can be really young and sometimes you can be older and it can still be your first home. But I still feel like it's an opportunity to let my mothering side show so that I can help them make the decisions that are needed for their specific situation.
That's incredible. And it's what a lot of people need whenever they're first getting into their homes. So, third question, what sets you apart from other agents in the field?
I think I'm just going to go back to the whole mothering thing.
Right.
I think that instead of looking at this career as a career, I look at it as an opportunity to help and mother people that, aren't my children. And just, I think that the whole, educating people and helping them make good decisions that fit their needs. I think that sets me apart. I'm very careful when I have, say, a young couple maybe that was really excited about a huge house and, talking to them about, okay, let's see, do you want to be house poor? Do you still want to be able to go out at night? Do you still want to go to movies and things like that? Or do you just want to pay for your house and not be able to afford anything else? And having that conversation, just that one right there is a big conversation that maybe they didn't think about because they're all wrapped up in the excitement and things like that. So I feel like that's important to have that conversation and see where is your brain really, and let's think about this.
Right. Okay then. So how do you you kind of just answered that, how you help buyers in today, but what about today's market, especially with more young people coming in?
I think, kind of going back to like you said, I kind of just answered that, education. I feel like education is a huge part of anything that you're going to do, but this is a huge purchase that you're making, whether it's your first purchase, and whether it's a small house or a huge house, your first purchase, or it's your third or fourth purchase, it's still a huge purchase. And it's probably the biggest purchase you're going to ever make,
right?
Whether you're upsizing or not, it's still pretty big. So I think that educating somebody in the process of what's going to happen can kind of calm the anxiety of the huge purchase, right? So I like to give, I've made like a brochure that's like, this is your buyer packet and look at this and go through this. And I have a place for notes and stuff so that if they're wake up in the middle of the night with a question, they can write it down and then ask me tomorrow. It's
Right.
fine. You know, I just want to make sure that they feel comfortable with every step. You know, like I'm leading you, I'm not pushing you. I'm not dragging you. I'm saying, okay, remember we talked about this? This is the time to decide these things. What do you want to do? And we've already talked about it usually. So they feel more comfortable.
Right. Perfect then. So I'm just gonna double check on my questions. I have them over in the corner. I'll be honest about that. What is your favorite type of property?
Residential.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that keeps me with my first time home buyers and,
Yeah.
you know, my kids, quote unquote, you know, or, you know, commercial is good, but it's just, it's almost like an arm's length feeling for me. I like to be up close and personal. I like to get to know my clients and their families and their people and their animals and who, whatever's making the move with them. And you can really do that with residential.
Right. Perfect then. So, what is one of your most memorable success stories?
Most memorable success stories. Actually, it's funny because it didn't really go the way that I thought it was going to go, but I have it's a current client right now, and he came to me and he's wanting to purchase the home that he's living in, that he's renting. And we had done some transactions in the past, and he called me up and said, you know, they have a realtor. They want me to use their realtor. They want me to use their lender. They want me to use like all the things that are theirs.
Right.
And he said, how do you feel about that? And so I came to him and I said, look, you know, I don't care who you use. If it's not me, that's okay. But please be represented. Don't use their realtor because that realtor is only going to have their best interests at heart. She's not going to be looking out for you. So if you're not comfortable working with me, that's fine. You know, feel free to find somebody else. I can help you find somebody else. But, you know, the next text was, will you please work for me? I need you. And so I said, okay. And so it was a tricky transaction because he's already living there, and so the negotiation process was super tricky. But we got through it, and we're going to be closing pretty soon on it, and he's super happy. So,
gosh, well, congrats to him. I'm so, and congrats to you too for working through him with that, like working through it with him on that.
Yes, thank you. It was a new experience, but I think that's probably what's going to make it the most memorable.
Right.
You know, because there were some items in there that I didn't necessarily, I was worried. I'm gonna say I didn't agree with it, but I was worried about the situation and the outcome. But I made it very clear to him, and I said, I just want you to realize XYZ is happening here, and could put you in this situation later. So just know what you're getting yourself into. And he said, that's okay. We want this house. This is what we want. And I said, okay, you're the boss. And we're moving forward, and he's happy. So that's all that matters.
Right. That's all that matters. Just gonna sorry, I keep double checking my list to the camera. How do you stay up to date with the latest real estate technology and trends then?
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm of the older generation, and so the technology and the trends, you know, I'm not as probably up to date as I should be, but I'm very blessed to be with Cloud Real Estate because they are very honed in on things like that. Education, what's going to help your business, what do we need to be doing in this market, in this day and age, in this time period, what's trending, what's happening. And, you know, we have our meetings and they bring in guest speakers. And so I'm able to learn what I need to do in those specific classes and things like that they offer. And sometimes I try kicking and screaming. I'm not so great at it, but you know, other times it's simple and you can make the change in your business. And really, if given the proper tools, which we are given with the classes, it's up to you to make those changes. So I do my best.
Amazing. Yeah. It's always a hard thing to get used to, especially with new technology constantly attacking us.
Exactly.
What advice would you give to someone buying or selling their home right now?
Get a realtor. I mean, that's the number one advice, and don't do it by yourself. I know people think, oh, I'm going to save money if I do it by myself. And yeah, that sounds great in the beginning, but you're looking at the nickels and dimes and not the big dollars here.
Right.
You need somebody that can navigate the market. You need somebody that can tell you what fair market value is for your home, or fair market value is for the home that you're purchasing. Like just that same recent client that I was just talking about. They wanted much more than that house was worth. And I said, oh, no, I don't think so. So we offered what I felt like it was worth, and they accepted it. So, had he not gotten the representation on the buyer side,
right,
he would be overpaying for that house today, So there's just so many aspects that if you don't have your license, you're not going to know. And, of course, there's the negotiating process, but just the contracts alone, those things are important to know in and out. And if you don't work with them every day, it's impossible for you to know.
Right. It is a lot to learn. So then, I believe we're almost there. What neighborhoods or areas do you specialize in?
So I've lived in the Salado area for about 30 years. So as far as specializing, I would say that's probably my area, is the Salado area. But I've also worked in the Killeen, the Belton, the Temple, Coppers Cove area, Harker Heights area. So I'm really kind of all over Central Texas. But just I would say if specialize specifically, I would probably say Salado, just because I've been here for 30 years and I know the village and the ins and outs of the school system. I put 4 kids through school here, and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. I love Salado. It's where we're filming this right now. But lastly, outside of real estate and your 4 kids, what do you like to do in your time off?
I have found, since I'm sort of, I guess what you call an empty nester, even though my kids are still in and out of the house, I found that I really enjoy nurturing my friendships. Getting to go to dinners with my friends and things like that, and kind of not reinventing myself, but finding myself again as not a mom, as my own person. So just starting my career later in life, with my kids grown. And now that I've gotten through that step, that was the first, I think, step of kind of finding who am I now that I'm not a mom.
Yeah.
And so the nurturing my friendships is super important to me right now.
That's incredible. And, I hope that we can help you continue nurturing your friendships and your lives. And I hope that Karen can help you too with that. So if you want to contact Karen, her information will be here at the bottom of the screen. And just thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.